Hi, good evening. I'm Mary Amy, and this is Living in the Light. And I'm all about shifting away darkness, guiding you to your truth's potential, and cracking open that beautiful glowing light in your heart. How are you on this Thursday in the Matrix work week on January 5th? Here we are in 2023. We are survivors. We are the survivors of 2022. We've made it. We are the first timeline arrivals. Fellow star seeds and light workers, family of light, how are you this evening? Are you tuning into your heart? Did you begin to realize all your thoughts? Every thought is very powerful. They carry a charged impulse and feelings and thoughts, and you can create your outcome through your thoughts and through your words and through your actions. So everyone who's joining us, thanks for joining us. I hope you like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's Thursday evening. And of course, I do this Monday through Thursday, and then I take the rest of the days of the week off. And so tonight we're going to cover topics like predictive programming, and then those walls around the Capitol and the Federal Reserve, and HAARP. Now, these are all new subjects to me. Also, of course, I'm going to touch on angels and psychic phenomenon. Have you been practicing your telepathy and extrasensory perception? Are you starting to predict events without even trying, without even really focusing in on it? The more that we open up and we discover all of our abilities that we have within us, our DNA is coming online because we're activating our light codes. And the more of the light that comes into our physical reality and into our physical body, our vessels, the more we are discovering everything within us. When we were children, we were born here, we had these very starry eyes and we saw the world. And hopefully you were nurtured, but if you weren't, you were kind of crushed and you were put into the systems and you didn't really develop all your abilities. But I'm sharing with you that you are a sacred being of light. You're a beautiful being of light, and you're highly advanced, whether you realize it or not. Last night, did you have any dreams? I had some dreams. I had a dream that I remember pretty clearly, and it was about some of the same people that have been in my life over and over and over again. However, each time it seems a little bit more developed. We think that we're having a recurring dream, but if you pay attention, you're going to find out that it's actually a connection to the last dream that seemed very similar. Something like those episodic television shows we watched or do watch now. If you watch television, you know how it just the actions and the themes and the stories just continue the plot. That's what it can be like in your dreams. And I'm finding out a little bit more about me, and some of it I'm not really accepting, because that's the part of me that's been living in the matrix, the part of me that gave myself doubt, and I spent a lot of time self-criticizing and being criticized and not feeling like I'm good enough or worthy. I'm evolving. I'm sure you're evolving as well. And let's all evolve together. Let's remind ourselves to be grounded. And when I say grounded, what do I mean? I mean that our feet are firmly planted in the earth, where we are right now living in this moment. Our thoughts aren't racing somewhere else in the past or the future. The past isn't important anymore. Let's live right here, right now. How are we going to create our destiny if we're not in this moment? Let's stretch out this moment. Let's give it all of our own personal power. Let's visualize the most amazing outcome. We don't have to wait 20 or 30 years to have our dreams come true. They can come true in an instant, right now. It's all about our thoughts. It's our belief system. I'm really dehydrated today. I ate early today, so I'm not going to be hungry during the show. Also, I just want to remind you that our intentions, I'm going to get on the predictive programming, but I want to remind you about your intentions. Our intention is basically, a good intention is a commitment to do our best. And I'm reminding you of that, just like I remind you some of these other healing techniques, because it's not all about topics. It's about us growing and transforming and basically not getting lost or, getting off our path. So let me remind you about having a invisible line surrounding you 12 inches from your body. And why is that? Because sometimes we don't have anyone protecting us. So we have to protect ourselves. So we imagine this invisible line surrounding us, and no one's allowed to travel into our space mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually without our permission. We can say no, thank you. We can say we'd like to take a break. We don't have to have everyone coming up in our face. We can say no. We can say, you know what? I need more time to figure it out. I'm reminding you of that. So stay grounded. Our thoughts are very powerful. Thoughts, words, and actions. Let's have alignment. So, what is predictive programming? I shared with you, and I've been sharing with you, that each day I come up with these topics because there's something that is relevant in this moment, or I see something that I want the answers to, and I figure maybe you do as well, because I am a truth seeker. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. And let me remind you, I'm a rebel as well. Maybe you're a rebel. Okay, so predictive programming, that's stories that we've been told through, maybe it's through movies, films, books, stories, and it's something that we're told to prepare us. Now, those that are in charge, those in power, and I don't know, I'm starting to realize, or I'm starting to become evident that some of those that are running things, whether it's the social media or the networks, and we know our government, they all seem to kind of be in cahoots. They all seem to be kind of sending each other, maybe it's secret messages. Maybe they're having little Zoom meetings. I don't know. I don't know how they're getting away with it. They obviously have their own secret societies and little communities, and they make these decisions for us. And then they plop this information into our movies, into our films, into our television programs. And we think, oh, that's sci-fi. And then we are prepared for it because it's predictive programming. And then we're not so surprised when it happens in our physical reality. Can you imagine that's what's been going on? So it reduces resistance from us. And so it's kind of as though we are getting a subtle form. Alan Watts says a subtle form of psychological conditioning provided by the media to equate the public with social changes, and basically put into place by leaders. So it's a mind control to accept future planned events. Now, I don't know. Hey, Tommy, nice for you to join us. Hello. You're in the country. Are you in the country? Anyone else who's joining us, I hope you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Coming to you live from New York. And they are using, fictional movies or books as masked mind control. And, I guess if you look in some of the television programs, it's a way of us preparing us. And we think, oh, we basically are very relaxed by seeing it. It's not like we're seeing it on the news. We're seeing it during our entertainment phase. We're supposed to be entertained by television and movies. And so we're kind of accepting it, but it's going into our subconscious. And when these events happen in real life, then we are so surprised by it. Not so much. We accept it. So it's a takeover by the government. They plan a crisis and then they give us the solution. And maybe you've seen it in some of these films. I mean, prior to the last 2.5 years, there was quite a few films. Do you remember some of those films where there was some kind of virus that took over the world? And then, there was scientists, and this is what you had to take or do to solve the problem. So they prepared us. They've been preparing us. And so I'm saying, wake up, wake up. And so why is it in this form? Well, by receiving this information during entertainment, our guard is lowered. And so it's subliminal messages to our subconscious. They kind of outline our fate, and then we accept the outcome. Now, just be aware of predictive programming and how you are kind of mind controlled, brainwashed, and shared this information. And so this will soften the blow. The facts made up are taken as truth and real. And this comes through. Sometimes you'll see this. You'll see made up facts. In other words, the media and the television will they'll put out a story, and there'll be no one who's checking on that story. I say I have to see it with my own eyes, and then I say, okay, that's possible. Everything that I hear or see, I don't take it with a stamp until I see it for myself. Now, I do have my intuitive abilities, like you do, your intuitive abilities, and you do sense whether something's a lie. Like we have our own lie meters within us. It's like when someone comes up to you and they tell you a story or they tell you something, if you're really tuned into your senses, you will know whether or not it's true. And so I guess that there's a lot of the public out there that's not really tuned into their senses, their feelings, and their emotions and their truth, their lie detector within them. They're not really realizing how much of these are lies. So seemingly, it seems like a coincidence. We are given names, locations. If you look in some of the movies and films from the past, what's going on right now, in our physical reality, some of what we're reading about and hearing about, and maybe it's on the mainstream media, is already been programmed to us. We've already become familiar through some of the names and locations listed in films, and we think, oh, it's a coincidence. No, it's not. It's all predicted. So we don't really have to see it for ourselves because we already know the story surrounding it. It's preparing us, and the event happens, and then we accept it. So just be aware. Hey, Mad Marsh, thanks for joining us. Well, everyone, I'm telling you, I'm like super thirsty tonight. I don't know why. Those are those ascension symptoms. Have you been experiencing any ascension symptoms? I'm telling you, my body for the last 24 hours, and maybe it's the heat change here in New York, it went up into the 50s for the last 2 days. I think it was 7 degrees 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. Well, it's that climate change, that global warming. No, I don't know. We're going to get into HAARP and whether or not that's about changing the weather. So did you have any dreams last night? Do you remember any of your dreams? Anyone who's joining us, I hope you liked the video and subscribe. Share with us if you had any dreams and how is there anything I'm speaking of that resonates with you? Or do you have a question? Or you in disagreement? Whatever it is, it's fine with me because it's about free speech. It's about freedom. We are sovereign beings of light. And that's what we have to remind ourselves. It's okay to speak your truth. That's what it's all about. Here we are. We're supposed to be having fun in this world. I know temporarily we're working in that matrix 9 to 5 or whatever it is. Some of you out there might be working more than that, 8 to 10 or 12 hours. And when do you see sunlight? I want to see sunlight. I want to be out there having fun. I don't want to be stuck someplace in the dark where it's basically, no natural light coming in. Did you have any dreams last night? Anyone who's joining us, share with us. Like I said, I had a dream with some of the same characters and some of those from my past. So I guess I haven't let them go yet. If they're still in my dreams, causing me distress in my dreams, then maybe they're still in my mind somewhere. I have to let them go. So walls around the Capitol. I heard about this and then I started researching. And I said, what exactly is that? I heard someone speaking about walls in around the Capitol. And I realized they're also around the Reserve Building. Now, is that a sign? We speak of signs. We speak of messages about upcoming events. And yesterday we spoke about the apocalypse and how we have messages in the Bible and signs in the Bible. And are we realizing that we are in the midst of encountering the apocalypse? And there is information given to us about what's going to happen. So pay attention. Now, these walls around the Capitol, from what I can see, because I'm not in Washington, D.C., and I don't have a friend there that I can say, go take a picture, everything I'm getting was on DuckDuckGo. And I saw, and Twitter, and I had read about it on Twitter. And so I decided, let me see what that means. Now I know after we had that one event that happened that one January, which I won't say more than that, they did put up that fencing. But now it appears to be that there's something a little bit more concrete. And it might just be concrete. And it looks like an actual wall. Not only a wall, but also around the Federal Reserve. Now, are they about to change? I started to wonder after I saw that wall. Not only are they expecting some kind of annoyance from the public, from the people, from the taxpayers, get rid of that IRS. When's the Nasara Jasara coming? I want the Nasara Jasara. If we think about it, maybe it'll just happen for us. So I wonder what's about to happen that they're going to do this. Now, it didn't just start yesterday. It started in the fall, it looks like. They started making these walls in the fall. Up, down, under wrote, nice outfit tonight, and that's a big mug. Leave early tonight, picking up daughter. Okay. All right. Well, I'm well aware you've spoken about your daughter, picking up your daughter. Thanks for joining us, though. I'm grateful for that. And anyone who's joining us, I have so much gratitude for you. And I'm so glad that we're establishing this community, living in the light, and we can all be there for each other and be supportive and share information. These walls around the Capitol. So the Capitol and the Federal Reserve have massive walls around them. What are we preparing for? The U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C., houses the Senate and the House of Representatives, and together they discuss and debate and deliberate natural policy, and they craft countries' laws. So that design of the Capitol was designed by George Washington. I don't know if you're aware of that, in 1793. And so the Capitol is supposed to be this place, this location that is, I would say, kind of sacred. And we've known it to be this very serious place that designs all our laws and keeps us, I guess, in line. We're supposed to be kept in line. And there's a lot of news about the Capitol and what's going on there and how serious it is. And we all have to, hey Raymond, thanks for joining us from Thailand. Wow, we have some oldies but goodies here tonight. And this world that we live in, we've been living in this three-dimensional world, and I speak of that so often. And it's this world, this simulation that was created for us to be controlled. And it was by those in charge with the most currency and power. And it's interesting that these two locations that I'm speaking of this evening are both those places that carry the most power, isn't it? Because the Federal Reserve is a location, and it serves as the central bank. The Federal Reserve central banking system created December 23rd, 1913. And it was by the Federal Reserve Act, and its objectives for monetary purposes. And that's where all the power is, isn't it? In the Capitol and the Federal Reserve. And now they've created these walls around those two buildings. And what could that possibly mean? I'm a little in wonderment about this. I'm a little bewildered. What could that mean? What do you think's about to happen? Well, I sense something's going to happen. I mean, I know that they're in the process of, let's see, I know that one of those from the Capitol has resigned. And I know her husband had an accident. You know who I'm talking about. NP. And she had a big mouth for a long time about what she thought. I know right now there's this whole thing about the Speaker of the House, and I believe that that's actually supposed to be a distraction. I think they're trying to distract us from other things. Come on, remember I said, don't look over here, look over there. Look over there. That's what they're doing. Look over there. And that's what they're trying to do, because really, it doesn't really matter in the end who any of these people in power are, because we don't really have any choices, do we? In fact, they're not elected, they're selected. We really don't have any choice. So I think it's a lot of hogwash. I'm going to say hogwash, calling it all hogwash now, because it's really just actors, and they're playing a role. And as I've spoken about, anyone who's a leader, if you were leading, imagine if you were leading, imagine if you were in charge. You know, in the old time shows, we'd see the town doctor or the town mayor, and he always looked like a little bit disheveled because he was rushing around and trying to help people and shake hands and be there for the people. Do you see that from our leaders right now? No, I haven't seen that from the leaders. They always look so pristine and impressive in their outfits, their fancy outfits. If I was rushing around doing all that, it takes so much for me. For me to go to my 9 to 5 job, exercise, eat lunch, and then come here. How I can't imagine if I was a big leader and I was in charge of a whole state or all my constituents, what I would look like. My hair would probably be all over the place. Hey, music. It's all distraction to stop us from going inside ourselves to find the divine within. Absolutely. Hallelujah. Exactly. So all of this, all the political mumbo jumbo, is basically exactly what music says. It's a way for them to keep us looking over there so we don't look here, because this is where all the valuable stuff is. The valuable stuff it's not the currency in the Federal Reserve. It's not in the Capitol with the House of Representatives and the Senate making the laws. It's within us. And if we discover that, if we all discover that and have oneness and we're connected and we have unity, and we don't go, oh, are you this? Are you that? What are you? Are you Republican? Are you Democrat? It doesn't really matter, because they're all in cahoots. They're making decisions together. You know, they're going like this. Okay. Or they're like crossing their fingers behind their back. You know, when you're a kid and you're making a promise and you're crossing your fingers, I sense there's a lot of crossing of the fingers behind the back, don't you? Well, the Federal Reserve banking system regulates banks and maintains stability. Now, just so you know, in 2015, so that's how many years ago? 8 years ago, the Federal Reserve earned $100.2 billion. $100.2 billion the Federal Reserve earned. And it gave the US Treasury $97.7 billion. Now, where's all that money coming from? Bet you can guess. It comes from our taxes. It's our money. And so where's it going? I don't know. Do you know where it's going? Who's keeping track of that? $100 billion. And that was 8 years ago. How much is it making now? So you got to wonder about this. Now, these are all topics. I'm just bringing up information. So the government, it's a government board run by governors. The Federal Reserve is run by a bunch of governors. And the board is 12 regional Federal Reserve banks in cities throughout the US. And the federal government set the salaries of the board's 7 governors. Wonder how much their salary is. Wow. Good to know. And, you know, the objectives for monetary purposes, regulating banks, maintaining stability, so we won't have the crash. Remember the crash? We heard about them when we were children, or maybe you were too young to even hear about it. There was that crash, and then they don't want that to happen again. So they have this the Federal Reserve. I don't know. It's all a bunch of hogwash to me. So really, I believe that we all thought for a very, very long time that this was in our best interests. Every single day, I'm waking up and I'm realizing there's a little bit more disclosure coming out, just a little bit more disclosure every day. And so little bit, it's kind of, and before you know it, it's going to be this much disclosure, as far as your arms can reach, that much disclosure. And we're finding more and more that there's some lies going on. So let's be aware of these walls around the Capitol and what could they be, and the walls around the Federal Reserve. Now, if everything crashes, all that and more has gone to Ukraine laundering machine. Well, that's a possibility, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. We don't know where it's going. It's a little fishy. It's so funny to me when there's a war that the leader of that country can literally do photo ops and be on the cover of magazines and shake hands, and celebrities are going over there. How is that possible if there's a war going on that celebrities can go there? It's so strange to me. Well, I don't know. Now, if everything crashes, if we have an event, whether it's an environmental event or it's a divine event or solar flash or Armageddon, whatever it may be, I believe that a lot of this is just going to be irrelevant anymore. It's going to be passe. We're not going to really care about it. But in this very moment right now, it just seems to be there's evidence of it. And I always say, when the numbers come out about a subject, the public gets wind of it, and then it usually crashes. We're going to see whether or not the financial systems crash, the stock market crashes. I know a lot of that is being held up. We'll see what happens. Like I said, disclosure. People become discontent. Let me remind you before we move on to HAARP about angels. Angels are being of light. They're sacred and they are celestial and benevolent beings of light, and they come from the heavens to earth. And it's said that there's tens of thousands upon millions of angels that travel on a staircase, and they are here for us, and they're messengers, and they guide us to our destiny and out of danger. Maybe you hear a whisper in your ear. Maybe that is clairaudience, or maybe it's an angel whispering in your ear, or dropping a thought into your brain to kind of guide you out of some kind of dire event. So pay attention. And this is from a painting that I love. I just love. It's called Angels Dancing Sun, Giovanni di Paolo, an Italian painter. And these angels are actually walking in a circle or dancing in a circle together, holding hands. And it's just lovely. And I just want to remind you that we can all ask for angels to come into our lives. They say that we have 2 guardian angels that are with us from birth. And here's a little chart you can see with the 9 ranks of angels: seraphim, cherubim, thrones, dominions, powers, virtues, principalities, archangels, and guardian angels. And, I speak of Archangel Michael, the warrior Archangel Michael, and he's here and he's around all of us, and he's coming to protect us. Oh, so here, I wanted to show, here's a map. Here's a couple of maps I have today. I like to have some kind of visual. I'm a very visual person. I don't know if you know that. I always learned visually. And so here's some maps. And I just wanted to share with you, and you say, it kind of puts everything in perspective. There's all of this going on across the globe. Here's all the countries across the globe. And, we've all been living in this physical reality, with these mindsets and these belief systems. And I say, let's try to cut them off and detach ourselves from these belief systems and ideas, and let's start to create our own thoughts, because this new reality that's coming into play, the 5th dimension, we are embarking on the 5th dimension. We are embarking on a beautiful reality where we'll come out of our homes and hug one another, and we'll have joy in our hearts, and we're probably not going to have to go to a 9-to-5 job anymore. I won't be able to get my Starbucks. There'll be no barista making me my chai tea latte, because everyone's going to kind of take a break. I don't know if there's going to be those 3 days of darkness and everything stops and we don't have any technology. We're going to have to kind of start all over, but quickly, miraculously, we're going to all have light within our systems. We're all going to be awakened across the board. Everyone's going to be awakened. It's not just you and me. All those out there that have been giving you a hard time, or they're saying you're a conspiracy theorist and you're like, no, I'm a truth seeker, I'm a rebel. Those guys, those out there are going to have to wake up too, and they're going to be kind of hiding in their homes. They're not going to know what to do. They're not going to be prepared for all the truths that they're awakened to. And they're going to have to look inward like we do. I say tune into your heart. And why do I say that? So you become more acquainted with yourself. You weren't really encouraged, you weren't nurtured to tune inward. Maybe rather than that, they were told, "Oh, take this little medication. You're not being good. Take this medication and it'll make you good." I don't think that that's the way to go. I mean, I know some of us out there, we might have an imbalance in our brain. That might be something different. But if you're going out there and you're expressing yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. We've been enslaved. We've been chained up. We've been chained by our hands, by our voices. Maybe we had duct tape on our mouths. We were covered so we couldn't tell our truths. It's time to tell our truths, isn't it? Anyone who's joining us, I hope you like the video and subscribe to the channel. That's just my personal, I guess, beliefs. So HAARP, what is HAARP? Does anyone know what HAARP is? Well, you know what I did? I tried to come up, I don't have, what I do have is, I know HAARP is something that was created. And this is some kind of technology. This looks more like a time machine, doesn't it? Which eventually we're going to time travel, aren't we? So HAARP is a high frequency active aural research program, and it studies properties and behaviors of the ionosphere. And so the ionosphere stretches roughly 50 to 400 miles above the Earth's surface. So, here's a map. We'll use the map as the referral. So roughly 50 to 400 miles above the Earth's surface, right at the edge of space, the ionosphere forms the boundary between Earth's lower atmosphere and the boundary between the ionosphere forms the boundary between Earth's lower atmosphere. That's what I meant to say. And so it started with actually who created this? The Pentagon did. They created HAARP. Now, I heard about HAARP today because I heard about, was it related to changing the weather? And I started to try to research this and find out exactly what HAARP is. HAARP, if you want to look it up. And so HAARP was designed by the Pentagon initially, and then it was taken over by the University of Alaska Research Facility. So the Ionospheric Research Institute, a higher power transmitter facility operating in the high frequency range. Now, why am I bringing this up? Why? Because there's been these experiments and there's a little bit of conspiracy theories around it. What exactly is HAARP doing? And the IRI, which is the Ionosphere Research Institute, is a controlled manner which will allow scientists to better understand processes that occur continuously under the natural simulation of the sun. So they got 9.3 million to do some experiments, 13 experiments. Now, here's some of the experiments, and then I'm going to talk about the conspiracy theories, which are they developing new forms of communication and surveillance technologies to send signals, to peer deep underground, volcanic disturbance, climate modification, earthquake engineering, brainwave manipulation? Was this designed from some of Tesla's creations? Nikola Tesla and his death beam ray. We're not sure. This is all information that I'm relaying to you, and I don't know. I don't know myself. So one of the experiments is the moon bounce, and it's near Earth's asteroids, hazard to the sun, transmitting a signal from HAARP to the moon to receive reflected signal to California or New Mexico. So they're doing some kind of experiments. I heard about CERN, and I don't know if you heard about CERN. And so that was kind of the same, I guess, niche topic, because CERN was all about opening up the CERN and changing and bringing frequency, or opening up to another realm. And so I wonder about HAARP, this HAARP. What is this HAARP doing? This high frequency active aerial research. What are they doing exactly? Because we know, can we trust those in power? And if it was designed by the Pentagon, I don't know. Heck no. So it was designed to be more than a gigawatt of energy into the upper reaches of the atmosphere. Wow, that's huge. To observe the complex natural variations of Alaska's ionosphere. And so has it been for weather modification, mind control, high-tech military experiments? I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. Is that what HAARP was designed for? I mean, are they really trying to help us? So I realized, where was this founded? And I found the name of scientist Bernard Eastlund, and he claims that HAARP, he was the one who founded and designed HAARP through his patents of Fusion System Corp. He was an American physicist. He was in favor of funding for weather modification. Interesting, isn't it? And he was the one who came up with this concept. Is it a death ray? Are transmissions being used to activate or trigger electromagnetic conditions that can cause tectonic movement, in the Earth's surface, triggering earthquakes? I don't know. Well, this is just all conversations. We're just basically throwing information out there, and we don't know. Like I said, I can't see it with my own eyes. However, I do believe there's going to be disclosure. And before we know it, it's going to be this much disclosure. That's what I'm getting. I believe there's going to be that much disclosure by the end of 2023, that much disclosure. And more of us are going to become awakened. And that's what's about to happen. We're all going to become awakened. Not just us, not the first volunteers, not the first wave of volunteers. Nope. Everyone's going to become awakened. And then we're all going to be on the same page. And some of us are going to decide we want to go to the light, and some of us are going to go in another direction. Probably. Anyone who's joining us, I hope you like the video and subscribe to the channel and share with me any information. So is it time to get on Psychic Phenomenon? I think it might be. It's a little early, but I think it's time. I don't know what's going on. I think I need some Gatorade. I just keep drinking more and more water tonight. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I had too much salt. You ever have too much salt and then you have to drink and drink and drink to catch up? Have you been practicing your telepathy? Have you been practicing? So when I say practice, sometimes that can mean that we're doing it together. And I believe I mentioned it's a good idea to work and practice on your own. And what does that mean exactly? You have these abilities within you. You are capable of tuning into others, other beings, and you can possibly predict the future. You have some gifts within you, whether you realize it or not. And maybe you did not nurture those gifts, and maybe you weren't aware of them, but they're there. You can master at least one clairsense. And we speak of our clairsenses, our clairaudience, our clairvoyance. Have you activated your third eye, your mind's eye? And that means you're looking in your eye and you're seeing another realm. So when I just did that instantaneously, I saw a deer. Now, what does that mean when I say that? Well, maybe I could say that that's a spirit animal for me. And if I Google, if I DuckDuckGo that, what does a deer symbolize? I think a deer is considered very positive. Maybe it's my future. I'm going to encounter a deer. Can be a lot of possibilities. If I tuned in a little bit more, I might access more information and data. If you stay tuned in, sometimes when we are receiving impressions, like I just did when I looked in my third eye, like I see a snowman, I guess that I'm going to be in the presence of a snowman this summer is what I'm getting. What that is exactly is that you're tuning into information. Now, if you stop it from happening and you basically cut it off, it will discontinue. But if you stay there in that information mode, you stay there tuned in, focus and concentration, you can relay more information, you can receive more information, and then at some point it will stop, it will end. And that's how it is for anyone who's reading someone or reading information or an intuitive or a psychic. They receive a certain amount of information and then it halts, and then maybe they have to ask a question or they just move on. And that might be how it goes for you. You might start to receive information and you say, well, that's not much, it's nothing. Every little bit is something. If you receive an impression, maybe it comes through someone's voice, it's a knowing from an outside source. It's not your thoughts. Be aware that it's not your thoughts, it's coming from someplace else, and it's operating on your frequency. We all carry our own frequency, our own vibration, and we attract that frequency and vibration into our lives. So if you're hearing out of nowhere someone speaking to you and you know it's not yours, and you sense it in a physical manner, like, oh, that's a loud noise, or that's a sound, that's a voice, and it's like not your thoughts. I mean, our thoughts aren't the same information. When that happens, it's meant for you. So know that everything that comes through to you is meant for you. Now, I mentioned a little bit about some of this HAARP, and I mentioned about whether or not it's a machine for mind control or research for mind control. And I do believe that there's been those out there that have considered and they've attempted to mind control the masses. Now, I don't know how they did it, and I don't know if it's for sure 100%, but I'm kind of guessing, because the government for many, many years since the 1960s had black projects, had secret projects that were related to mind control. And they victimized people, orphans, or they victimized homeless, and they used them for their experiments because they were trying to control the masses and discover how. Let's not talk about that. That's so unhappy, isn't it? Let's talk about happy things. We might go into a trance and receive thought pictures. You might become a medium and receive information from a spirit, someone who's passed over. And you can pretty much determine which direction you're going to go into and where your abilities lie, because it'll be more of what comes naturally to you. What are you drawn to? Now, you can block it off. You can say, ha ha ha, that's so silly. That's so kooky. What are you doing? And then you're not going to receive any information. You have to really accept it. You have to say, okay, I'm surrendering to this, and I'm allowing this to happen to me. And I'm allowing to just kind of go with it and see what happens. And you know what? The more that you do that, and the more that you accept it, and the more that you talk about it, the more you'll be better at it. And it'll be something that just simply happens for you naturally. And throughout your day, you might receive impressions, and it might become so familiar to you that you don't realize that many of your thoughts and many of the information that you're receiving that's guiding you is through your psychic phenomenon, through your clear senses. So let's practice right now. Let's do some practice together. Anyone who's joining us, I hope you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I'm just here basically because it's where I belong. I'm supposed to be here. And if you have any topics, I know some of you are suggesting topics to me, or you are asking me to have a certain topic, and I love that. And you can find me on social media. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. And I want good things for you. And I want you to remind you that I'm here to support you in your worthy being of light. It doesn't matter what you look like, what you have, or what you do, what job you have. You're worthy being as is. Remind yourself that you're a beautiful being of light. You have to turn inward. You have to say, I love myself. Like look in the mirror and say, I love myself, I accept myself. And if that isn't working for you, I want you to remind yourself of your 3 characteristics that make you authentic, that no one else has, that make you an imperfect, perfect being of light. You are worthy and beautiful as is. Remind yourself of that. The more that we love ourselves, the more that we have compassion for ourselves, for others, we have forgiveness in our heart, we accept any of those out there that are asking for our forgiveness, the more that we will reach our destiny, the quicker. We'll take a quantum leap, an abrupt transition. It'll happen instantaneously, and you will get there. Now, if you want to imagine in front of you, holding out your hands, what exactly is your up? I just came up with what I would like to do, our destiny today. All right, so let's do that right now. Let's close our eyes. So what do? We're like a rag doll. We're like a rag doll. Aren't we like a rag doll? We're like a rag doll. We're relaxing. For me, I guess I have a stiff neck. All right, so we're letting go. We're uncrossing our legs. Now, if you're laying down, that's completely fine. If you want to keep your eyes open, whatever works for you. We want to go into a place of calmness and peace. And the more that we are there in that place, and we have stillness. Last night we spoke about peace. Our exercise was related to peace, and I said, let's just calm down. Let's completely calm down. And my daughter, it was very funny. My daughter said, Mom, I did that activity, that exercise with you, and I fell asleep because I was so calm. So maybe that's working, isn't it? If you're that calm. So we're going to just relax. We're going to be like a rag doll. We're going to loosen up. We're going to take any tension away that we have in our arms and our legs. If we have to breathe out like that, just let it all out. We're letting out any kind of stress that we have. We're definitely pushing away any thoughts. We don't want any thoughts coming in because we just are tuning into our senses in our vessel, right? We're tuning into our senses. So we're a rag doll. We're letting go. We're having a natural breath. We're really trying to find our peace. And then we're dropping down, like I always say, like what a child's puzzle piece that fits perfectly into a puzzle. We're dropping down into our physical selves and we're connecting to all of our senses. We're connecting to all of our senses. We're connecting to our hearing. We're surrendering. We're feeling physical contact because throughout our day, we're so busy, we're so distracted, we have all these frequencies coming at us. We're not really tuning into ourselves, our emotional selves. So what are we hearing right now? I hear appliance. I hear a little bit outside. I hear my computer. And we're tuning in as much as we can. We're having very clear focus, a clear knowing. That's what we're receiving. Maybe you're going to hear a sound. Maybe you're going to see a mental image. And let's remind ourselves our clairvoyance, our third eye, our mind's eye. And can you see? Is there something that you can see in your mind's eye? I just saw something open and close. So we're just testing the areas, our sense of smell, our sense of taste. Sometimes when we have those that we tune into, we get a memory. I'll give you an example. Today, I was at my job in the Matrix, and all of a sudden, I was imagining the smell of popcorn came to me. And I said, oh my gosh, popcorn, movie popcorn. And I said, why is that happening right now? It kept happening over and over again. And then I said, it was exactly 1 week ago today that I went to see, what was it called? I went to go see that movie with my daughter. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm blocking the name. They were all Anyway, I went to the movies and I had popcorn. I loved it. So there you go. I had a memory and it was a week ago. All right. So now we tune into our heart. Avatar. Went to see Avatar. We tune into our heart. We're going to tune into our heart. And how are we feeling right now? What are you feeling? Sometimes it's hard, this way, this quickly to tune in, but let's become really rapidly able to tune in. So I'm tuning into my heart and I am sensing a very calming feeling. I have a very calming feeling going on. Now our sense of touch. Okay, and we're just testing everything right now. We're doing a little test because we get so distracted throughout our day. So are you feeling anything on the palms of your hands, on your fingertips? I feel, some energy. And our claircognizance. We have this knowing within us. And is there anything that we're just automatically sensing? There's so much energy that's traveling around us that we can't see. Our eyes can only see 1% of what's going on in our physical reality. Our bodies can sense a lot. That's why I say tune into your clear senses, because you are sensing things all the time. It's just like when you meet someone that you don't know, you immediately have a reaction. This is somebody that you want to get to know. You're a little bit cautious. You're kind of indifferent, but you have some kind of reaction. And whether you realize it or not, you have a reaction to almost everything that you encounter throughout your day. Locations, smells, outside, inside, people, environments. You're constantly going through a lot of reactions throughout your day. A lot of it we tune out because it's distracting to us. We are now trying to tune in, not tune out. We're trying to tune in. Okay, so let's do this exercise. So we've relaxed, we've let out a breath, we've dropped down. And my suggestion to you is you pick one of your clear senses. And my suggestion is we are going to tune into our destiny. And we are going to ask ourselves, we're going to give the suggestion, we're going to ask ourselves we're going to try to predict when our destiny, and we're visualizing our destiny, whatever that is for you. And your destiny is going to be basically the most beautiful thing you can imagine for that you want. Maybe it's a material thing, maybe it's a place, maybe it's something about you, maybe it's a relationship. When is your destiny going to take place? And that's the suggestion I'm giving you. So we've dropped down in, we've relaxed ourselves, we've made physical contact, we've pushed away any thoughts because we're only tuning into our clear senses. We're surrendering to our clear senses. And the suggestion is, when will our destiny take place? We're going to predict it. I'm going to be quiet and we're going to predict our destiny. What impressions are you going to receive? So I'm going to tune into my clear audience, and I'm going to also tune into my clear sustenance, my feeling, and see what information I receive, what impressions. Okay, so I don't know what information you receive. So since I went to my hearing, all of a sudden I heard a lot of shuffling around. And then my daughter was saying to me, Mom, 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 wake up, you're late. You're going to miss your train. And it was pretty clear. It was very vivid. And so I was trying to find out when this was, have an indication of when this is going to happen. I could see the circumstances. I was headed to New York City, but I don't know when it was. And then I was trying to decide, because I was going to be late for the appointment, if I should drive. So that's what I received. Did you receive any information? And, now I just got a smell too. So I don't know. I mean, pieces are coming together, pieces of my puzzle. We have a consciousness within us, a higher self that we can access. And we've been speaking of our chakras. I'm going to get back into that maybe next week. And I find that to be very valuable. We spoke about the 5 chakras within us, and the 7 chakras within us, and then the 5 outside of our being. We have the chakra below our feet, 12 inches below, 12 inches above, another 12 inches above, and then there's 2 more after that. And they are part of us. They are a way for us to access other realms, other dimensions, other beings, cosmic energy. And I guess what I'm trying to share with you is that there's a lot of information that we haven't realized. Some of us have. We're just learning. I'm just learning, and maybe you are too. And I sense that it's going to be helpful to us. And it's going to be helpful for us, because then we are going to create this beautiful world that we would like to live in, and we are going to have our destiny. And by bringing forward some of these emotions, or creating, like I just suggested that we create or imagine where our and when our destiny is coming, that maybe that we can change our outcome, or we can alter the outcome. So let's try one more before we go. I know that we did this pretty early tonight, and I don't know, did we get more time? Did time stand still or something? I don't know. I don't know how we got through everything, and it's not even 1 hour. I mean, this is a miracle. All right, so let's try another Claire exercise, psychic phenomenon. So let's relax. Before we go, we have a few minutes. We're going to end, I guess, at exactly 1 hour, which is fine. And then I'll be back again next week on Monday, and you can look through all my videos, and you can write a comment, and I'll respond, and I want to know you, and I'm giving you hope and positivity. And I say, light on the horizon, good things are coming beyond our vision. A difficult situation will improve. Here we go. This looks more or less like when the sun is just coming out on a dark evening or a dark morning, maybe sunrise. And I'm sharing with you, good things are beyond your view. A difficult situation will improve. All right, so we're going to let go. We're going to relax. We're going to drop down like a rag doll, like we just did. Let out a breath. And now we're going to drop down into our senses like we have been. And I go through each of these steps again, because if you miss a step, then you might not get the impressions. It's a process. It's really about being concentrated on relaxation. And we're pushing away any thoughts. We're making physical contact. And we're going to choose one of our senses. I'm going to choose my clairvoyance right now, because I haven't been really practicing that. And I'm getting a little out of practice. So I'm going to practice my clairvoyance, which I'm going to keep my eyes open. And my suggestion is that tomorrow morning we wake up, or my suggestion is you wake up tomorrow morning with a thought of light. And so how are we going to do this? That's the suggestion. You're waking up tomorrow morning with a thought of light. And that might very well mean a feeling for you. You might see something. So let's see if we hear anything, if we see anything. My suggestion is you wake up tomorrow morning with a thought of light. What I mean by that is maybe you see it, maybe you feel it, maybe you're experiencing light within you. You're experiencing light. And that's the suggestion. I'm going to stop talking and we're going to see what we receive. Oh, I'm going to keep my eyes open. So what I received was many mornings I wake up and light comes through my window, and it's because the sunrise comes. But it wasn't that. It was that, but plus. It was not a light that's in me. It's a light that's in the physical reality, and I sense that there's going to be an overpowering light that comes on this physical plane that we are on. And I saw light on the walls. So, from my bed, there's a wall here and then there's a wall here. And I saw light on all the walls. And it was very, very, like, how can I say? It was very, very expansive. It was this light that was just overpowering. That's how I can say it. So that's what I experienced. I don't know what you did, and everything that we receive is a personal experience. You're going to receive something different than me. And I believe that we all are going to the light. And one day we're all going to have mind to mind. We're all going to be connecting mind to mind, like we say telepathically. And we're kind of in telepathy school. We're just preparing ourselves for what's to come. 2023 is a big year for us light workers and star seeds and those that are awakening. And I want to remind you to step out of fear. Don't let fear own you. And whether you realize it or not, sometimes we allow it to take hold of us. And I mentioned last week, I said some ways to get through fear is to write it down. And I did that myself. I wrote it down on a piece of paper. So if you have something that you have fear about, write it down and look at it. Talking about it isn't the same. Sometimes when we look at something visually, we see it. It's the same as when someone writes something to you. It means so much more than them saying it. When you see it written down, it's like you have something concrete. So write down, if you have a fear, write it down, look at it. And after you've done that, remind yourself of when you have this fear, what are your feelings? What are your emotions when you have this fear? And what brings it on? And I'm just sharing this with you because I believe that it will give you a little bit more information, input, understanding of yourself and where it came from, because essentially we're discovering more and more about ourselves, and maybe just little by little we're conquering issues that we have within ourselves, triggers or traumas and fears. So just say, keeping your, reminding you to keep yourself aware of this. So anyway, thank you for joining us. I'll be back again on Monday. I love you all, and I'm spinning light and you're in the middle of it. And I hope you make a wish. And I'm spinning it clockwise, the light, and you're in the center. And counterclockwise. And you're in the center of it. And make a wish. Make a big wish. Something that you really, really want. I'm making a wish right now. It's one of my 5 humongous goals. Hey, Bob Harding, have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us. So everyone have a wonderful weekend. I'm sending you light and hope and peace and good thoughts. And I'll be back again at Monday at 7 p.m. Have a great night. Bye.